All right, so now let's write our insert method. We're just going to insert a new node of a particular value at a particular index. So if you want to code this, go ahead and pause it. Otherwise, we'll get into this. So a lot of the concepts are going to be the same as with a singly linked list. So I'm going to bring up the new node here. And remember, if we were going to put this in at the index of 0, we were going to use the unshift method like this. The index equals 0, return this dot unshift. And remember, you have to use that return keyword. Or we could add this to the other end of the linked list like this. That's the equivalent of just doing a push. Also need to use return. And it's also possible for there to be an index that is out of the range of possible indexes. So let's look at all three of those lines of code there. These are going to be the same with a singly linked list or a doubly linked list. The difference being that the unshift method here is going to be a different unshift method. This will be a different push method. And of course, this line will run the same either way. Let's bring back up our linked list here. Let's say we want to insert this somewhere in the middle. We're going to insert this at the index of 2, like that. In order to do that, we're going to have a couple of variables. We will call these before and after. So let's go ahead and write the code for creating this new node and these two variables. So there's our code for the new node. And for the two variables, for before, we'll say before equals this dot get of the index where we're inserting it -1. And then for after, instead of using the get method, because remember, get is going to be an O of n, because it's going to have to iterate through the list to get to the particular index. With this, we'll set after equal to before.next, and that'll be an O of 1. So let's put everything back like that. And then we're going to move a couple of arrows here. We're going to take that arrow from the 3 node. Instead of having it point at the 23, we're going to have it point down here. And we'll do that with this line of code. And then we'll have the arrow from the new node point up to that 23 node with this line of code right here. New node.next equals after. And that adds that into the linked list. And this is going to be very similar when we do a doubly linked list. But let's look at our code so far. We've created those variables and then redirected those 2 arrows. Now we just need to increase the length by 1 and return true that we were able to insert that. So this is for a singly linked list. There's just going to be a couple of changes for a doubly linked list. So let's bring this up and turn this into a doubly linked list. So one of the things that we did before is we pointed this arrow down here with this line of code. We've already written this. And this arrow here pointed up to the 23 node. And we've already written this line of code. The only difference is we have these 2 arrows that I just highlighted in green there, and we need to redirect those arrows. So new node.previous equals before, and after.previous equals new node. And I'm going to leave these previous pointers as green like this. But first, let's look at all of this code in with the rest of our code. So I'm going to bring a couple of orange arrows in here. These are the ones that we already wrote the code for. And those are represented with the orange arrows in the diagram as well. These 2 are the only 2 new lines of code. Otherwise, this is completely the same as the insert method for a singly linked list. We'll look at this code in DevTools in a second. But we're going to start out by creating this linked list with 1 and 3. And then we're going to insert a node at the index of 1 with the value of 2, just like that. So the new linked list will be 1, 2, 3. So now let's flip over to DevTools. Okay, so there is our insert method. And I'm going to scroll here a little bit. And we're going to create this linked list here with the value of 1 and 3. So let's just zoom out. I'll run this. And I'm just going to open this up. And you can see we have a linked list with head equal to 1, tail is equal to 3, with a length of 2. I'm going to clear this. And then I'm going to run my doubly linked list dot insert, and this is an index of 1 and a value of 2. And it returns true. So I'm just going to type my doubly linked list. And here's our new linked list. Has a length of 3, and head is pointed to 1. That is pointed to 2. And that node, when we open this up, you can see that the one in front of it, next, has a value of 3, and previous has a value of 1. So I'm going to clear this. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to insert this at the index of 10, which is not a valid index, just to make sure that it returns false. All right. That is our method for insert.